I just got access to Gemini Omniflash, and today I want to find out if this actually changes how we make videos. I'm going to test it, I'm going to break it, and I'm going to show you what an AI filmmaker can realistically do with it right now in 2026. Let's see what's actually real. So here's the thing. Everyone has been talking about Gemini Omniflash recently, but I needed to see it for myself. I've got access through Google Flow, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to put it through actual filmmaker tests. Can it understand cinematic language? Can it maintain character consistency across scenes? And more importantly, can it fit into a real AI filmmaking workflow? I'm not here to tell you it's perfect. I'm simply going to show you what works, what doesn't, and where filmmaking is starting to head. We're going to go through the workflow step by step, from ideas to characters, environment references, and actual video generation. So let's build something. This is Gemini Omniflash. You can either use the web application or the mobile application, and they also have a Google Flow mobile app for people creating content directly from their phones. So inside Google Flow, make sure you create a new project to access Gemini Omniflash. One thing you should note here is that according to Google recently, this particular model is currently not available for free users. It's for paid users at the moment. So basically, you need to upgrade from the free tier to one of their paid plans, probably a pro account, so that you can access Omniflash. And from what I've seen, I don't think the subscription is too much. It still feels affordable. Now, when I entered the Flow app, there were a few changes that actually surprised me. The first thing was this character section. You can now create characters directly inside Flow. Use Nano Banana to generate new characters, upload character images, or even pull characters from previous projects you've worked on. Then the next thing here is scenes. This existed in previous updates, so you can still walk through multiple scenes across your project. Now let me start from the beginning stage, which is idea generation. Another thing that really surprised me was this text input area. Unlike before, you can now chat with an AI agent. Basically, you can collaborate with an AI agent while working on your film production. Down here, you can simply toggle it on or off. So if I want to create a film with this, I can enable it and immediately start chatting with the agent. So I'll type something simple like, I want to create a 1-minute AI action film, and click send. The agent starts thinking and gathering details. And you can already see something interesting happening here. At the top right section, you now have a chat panel attached to your project itself. That means you now have an AI agent that stays connected to the project you are building. Now it's asking for a plot, so I can simply say, suggest 10 plots for me, or suggest 10 ideas for me. Right here, I'm just testing this out for you guys. And now you can see it has generated several ideas that you can start working with. So I'll just choose this second idea and say, I'm going with this. Then the conversation continues naturally, and you begin building your project around it. So that's the AI agent side of things. That's basically how this AI collaboration feature works. Now let me move into the core part of this, the things we actually want to test here. From the agent tab, you can close this if you want to return to the normal interface. So let's say you want to generate a video. To access Gemini Omniflash, click on video and then choose your model right here. You can select Omniflash, which is the new model. And one thing I noticed immediately is that you now have more duration compared to the previous VO3 model, which stopped at 8 seconds. Here you now have the option for 10 seconds of video generation. The credit usage is also fairly close to the previous model. Actually, let me correct myself there because I almost said it was cheaper. It isn't cheaper. So if you compare it with VO3 Fast, this one is around the same range of usage, which is still pretty okay. For the number of generations, you can choose multiple outputs here. You have 1, 2, 3, or 4 generations. For aspect ratio though, you currently only have access to 2 options. And I think that's one area they should improve because other models allow more flexibility. Here you have 16:9 for landscape and 9:16 for portrait. Now, as an AI filmmaker, one of the biggest things you want to test is character consistency, environment references, how scenes connect together, and whether you can generate quality video from all of that. That's what I'll focus on for this tutorial. So let's move into character consistency. because that's usually one of the first things that affects an AI film. To create a character, click on characters right here. Then you can choose whichever model you want to use, either Nano Banana 2 or Nano Banana Pro. I'll leave it on Nano Banana 2. For this demo video I'm creating, I already have a character Bible prepared. So I'll simply copy the character description from that document, go back into Flow, paste it into the character description field, and click Generate. That becomes our first test for character consistency. Now, this is one of the things Google talked about heavily with this update and with Gemini Omniflash itself, character consistency across your project. And now we have our character generated here. But one thing I immediately noticed is that the character doesn't feel realistic enough. So because of that, I'll make another adjustment. This time I'll attach the initial image itself, make the character more realistic, make the character hyper realistic, and send it again. This becomes another test entirely, because now I want to see how well it handles those smaller corrections while using an existing image as a reference. And looking at the results now, I think it definitely improved things. It looks much more realistic compared to the earlier cartoon style generation. But I'm still not fully comfortable with this realism level yet. So now I'm going to move over and use my own character reference sheet prompt, my own character workflow. Then I'll attach the character description and generate it again. Now you can immediately see the difference here. This character looks much more realistic than the earlier versions we generated. And this is something I say a lot. Sometimes it isn't really the tool itself that's the issue. It becomes a skill issue. We're using the same tool and still working inside the same system, but after adjusting the prompt and improving the workflow a little, we suddenly get a much better result. That's why skills still matter. Now the next thing you can do here is adjust the character information. For example, we can change the character name. Another feature I really like here is voices. You can now assign a voice to your character. You can either create a completely new voice or use an existing one. This is one of my favorite improvements Google made, because now you can keep your voice consistent throughout your film. Now, if you want a second character, you basically repeat the same process. Create a new character, paste your prompt, replace the description, generate it, assign a voice, and save the details. That's how you build out your characters. Another thing worth mentioning here is creating an avatar of yourself. To do that, go to the plus icon here and click it. Then you can begin the setup process. You can clone your face, your voice, and other details. You'll be given a QR code, and after scanning it, you can take a selfie. Then, the system creates a version of you. I just wanted to mention that quickly. Now let's continue with the AI filmmaking side of this, because I want to keep testing what this can actually do. The next thing we want to create is an environment reference sheet. We already have our character reference sheet, but environment references work a little differently. You can't create them exactly the same way you create characters. Instead, switch from video mode to image mode. Then set the aspect ratio to 16:9 so you're working in landscape. I already have an environment reference sheet prompt prepared, so I'll go back and copy it. Basically, all you have to do is paste the prompt into Flow, choose the correct model. I'm using Nano Banana 2 here, and then click Generate. Then we wait for the image, because that generated image becomes our environment reference sheet. Now we have our environment reference generated, and it actually looks pretty good. We have different angles available, which is perfect for the type of video we want to create. Now let's move into video generation. One thing Omniflash talked about is multimodal capability. So here I want to test multi-shot generation, because I want to see whether it can handle that type of workflow similar to what we've seen in Seedance 2 and Kling 3 Omni. I'm basically testing this so you don't have to. I want you to understand the strengths and weaknesses before you start using it yourself. To do that, I already have a prompt prepared. First, switch back to video mode and make sure Omniflash is selected. I'll use the 1:0 second option here. Keep the aspect ratio at 16:9, paste the prompt in, and then make a few adjustments. So I already have the prompt pasted here. Now for character consistency, I'll reference the character the same way I normally do with other models. I'll type the @ symbol and select Kai. Then I'll add that to the prompt. One important thing you should notice here is that I'm working with multiple shots and each shot has its own timing. So I have 0 to 3 seconds, then 3 to 6 seconds, and then 6 to 10 seconds. For the character reference, I'll say use @Kai as Commander Kai Ori. Then for environment reference, I'll use the environment sheet we generated earlier. So now I have my character reference and my environment reference attached. After that, I'll click generate and wait for the video. The video has now been queued, and after some seconds or maybe a few minutes, we should get our result. Now the video is ready. One thing I want to point out immediately is that this is not the best prompt possible. I made this quickly as a test prompt just so we can understand what this model is doing. This is not a real film project. I'm simply testing the system. So now we have the generated result here. Another thing worth noting is that with Omniflash, you can't extend the clip directly. Instead, you can only add it into a scene for editing. Now that raises another question. How do we maintain scene continuity? So let's test another approach. Let's see whether referencing a video itself can help maintain that continuity between scenes. I'll add a generated video into the prompt and copy the next test prompt I prepared. I'll paste it here and make a few adjustments. Again, I'll reference the character the same way we did before. I'll type use @Kai as Commander Kai. Then I'll reference the environment again. Now I want to test something interesting. I'll write extend at video. Basically, I'm trying to see if Omniflash understands that I'm attempting to continue the previous scene. I noticed there isn't really a direct way to reference that generated video specifically. So I'm making an assumption here that Omniflash will understand the idea of scene continuity. So after that, I'll click generate again and wait for the next multi-shot result. So now the final video has been generated and this is the last test for this workflow. One thing I immediately noticed is that it does a good job of referencing the character and the environment. Those parts are handled quite well and the consistency is actually impressive in some areas. But when it comes to extending a video for true scene continuity, that's where things start to fall apart a bit. Instead of properly continuing the previous clip, it treats the attached video more like an input reference element rather than an actual scene extension. So it uses it as context, but it doesn't truly build a continuous sequence from it. And for me, that's an important distinction because in real AI filmmaking, continuity is everything. Now, I do think this is something that will improve over time. It feels like an early limitation rather than a hard restriction, especially considering how strong the rest of the system is. Overall though, this is still a really strong tool for AI filmmaking. You can combine it with other tools in your workflow and still get very good results. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a meaningful step forward from what we had before in Google Flow. So far, this is a solid improvement from Google and honestly, it's something we've needed in this space for a while. Now to wrap up, what I would say is this. If you're an AI filmmaker, this tool is worth experimenting with. Not because it solves everything, but because it expands what you can actually build right now. If you've been following along and you've understood how this workflow works, then you already have a strong foundation for using it in your own projects. And if you've tried it yourself, I'm curious to know what results you got, especially with character consistency and scene generation. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, ask any questions you have as well, and I'll try to respond. And that's it for this breakdown. I'll see you in the next one.